Welcome to Real Talk, a podcast on well-being. My name is Tracy Davis, and I'm the director of the Academy for Workforce Development, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Lanisa Matthew. We are back, season 2. This is phenomenal. I'm so excited. It was an overwhelming positive response for our first season. So Lanisa and I thought, hey, let's try it again. And so here we are. Lanisa, it's so great to see you.
Tracy, we're here and so excited. And just to be able to do what we do. And what I love about when we came together, the original idea was real talk, how we can connect with others, and to be able to use this platform to be able to lift up and elevate just some conversation that perhaps need to be done, that need more awareness and opportunity.
Absolutely. So here we are, and we have a well planned out season for all of you. We're going to start today with our special guest, Greg Gallinoto.
Yes.
Welcome. Why don't you give our audience, our listeners, an idea of who you are?
Well, my name's Greg Gallinoto. I've worked for the department for 24 years. I worked at Riverview Hospital, Solnit South, and from 99 to 2003, and transferred to Connecticut Juvenile Training School. Worked there as a teacher for about 10 years, and before coming to the regions as an education consultant.
And you are a hidden gem. Greg actually listened to our first season, and he reached out to Lanisa and I, just thankful for the work we had done. And we said, let's talk to him a little bit more about his expertise in the work that he does around meditation. So, Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about your person? Who are you?
Well, besides professionally being with the department for 24 years, personally, I am a husband and a father of 5 children. I'm a coach, basically coached every single one of my kids' sports.
Nice.
Awesome.
I'm active in the community. I'm a certified breathwork teacher and coach, and I'm also a Reiki master practitioner. I have a very, very busy life, and protecting my well-being and preserving my energy is at the top of my list. I don't know anyone who does not enjoy inner peace, calm, a quiet, focused mind. And by doing these practices, it's essential for me to continue to preserve my energy.
That's fantastic. Can you explain the difference for our audience and really for us, the difference between mindfulness and then meditation? Could you sort of give us sort of a breakdown of what those two entail?
Sure. Mindfulness is, for me, just another word for awareness. It's anything that you do that creates a connection to your thought, mind, body, spirit. It basically allows us to reset our autonomic nervous system. Really, I mean, when you think about meditation or mindfulness, it's a way to slow down with all the distractions of life and really get back to who you are, who your true self is. Mindfulness is more activities such as meditation, but you can do it anywhere. You can, people love to do activities that really slow them down, such as cooking, gardening, yoga, walking, dancing, music, whether it's listening or playing the music, meditation, breath work. Even if it's laughing and playing or journaling and reading.
Greg, what I love that you said is that for me, what stuck out, to slow down. Like after pandemic, after this hustle, bustle, and the demand is great, and we rise, especially DCF staff are phenomenal, who always rise to the occasion. But then the idea that we're trying to introduce of well-being, where's the balance, right? Where's the slowing down? To me, that's the piece that I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today, to be able to lift up. How do we do that in our everyday life? Whether it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 15, wherever it is, actually taking a lunch. So different ideas that I just appreciate you taking the time to sort of walk us through.
It's really hard, especially with the jobs that we have, with the clientele that we have, to really take the time and space throughout your busy day, or whether it's in the morning or at night or during a lunch break, just to calm down and reconnect to yourself. Because when we're already running around all over the place, it's very hard to reset and slow down during whether there's a crisis or deadline or whatever we have throughout the day. So it's very challenging to do that.
Yeah, I love it. What I also hear too is the word intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
And we all, myself included, just as guilty as I'm sure many staff could say, hey, you know what, that resonates with me too. Yeah. But I appreciate that. It's that intentionality to find that space.
And the meditation piece to that is more the intentionality of, Greg, you have to create the time and the space. Usually it's with little to no distractions. And sit down and, you could do walking meditations, but most of us think, it's just sitting by yourself doing nothing. For those who don't practice it, the best way that I would challenge you to start to meditate is by tuning into your breath. Really, at the end of the day, it comes down to focusing on something else besides your busy thoughts. A lot of us have very loud thoughts, and we can't sit down without being plugged in every second of the day. So it's another way to create that time and space. And guided meditations is really, especially for our beginners, you can find them anywhere. And that part of meditation is important.
So, Greg, can you talk a little bit about why it is key and maybe so very important in the line of work that our staff do to engage in these types of activities? Why is it so important?
I would say that in my experience, we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves throughout the day, and we can't make sense out of the work that we do. At the end of the day, we are in the people profession, and when we are so busy taking care of others, we forget to connect to ourselves. And providing the practices to get back to yourself allows you to not only reconnect with yourself, but reconnect with other people around you. And it's very difficult to do that when you're in a heightened state of stress. We become very short with people, very frustrated. Our relationships suffer because of that. And it's so important to take care of yourself so that we can take care of the children and families in need.
Greg, how often do you take time for yourself? Because like you said, I love that you shared you're juggling 5 kids and a family and work and the demands and understanding that we lift up to take care of our children, families, and communities. But how would you say from your perspective or your own practices, how often do you do it? Or is it every day? Is it once in a while? Could you sort of break that down for us?
You want me to be vulnerable here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Safe and sound right
So
here.
if this is real talk, this is very challenging for me because I don't usually open myself up in this regard at work. But my day looks like this. It's pretty much an all-day thing, even as I'm working. You talked about the intentionality. Mm-hmm. It's allowing me to reconnect or connect to the ways in which I am kind to people, my interactions with people. It is extremely tough to do this job and be kind. You know how hard it is to be kind and to be patient? We have completely lost our patience just because we're going all the time.
Yes.
So my day before my feet hit the floor, I live by 5 principles, and they're Reiki principles. They're extremely basic, but extremely hard to live by. And as I go through those 5 principles, before my feet hit the floor, I say a mantra, and it's how you love your day is how you start your day. And I don't get up until I feel it. I could say it, and sometimes I had to fake it before I make it.
Sure.
And that's a way also to start yourself. But it's another way for me to say, listen, it really starts with gratitude. We completely lose the fact that I'm in this studio with you people doing this unbelievable work, whether or not someone's there to listen to it or not. And it's a way to really gain perspective. Life is all about perspective. Our experiences do not change. It's the way that we perceive them and our perspective towards them. So when you can get out of bed and enter your day, and we know what it's like when you turn on that computer and you have all these things going on, it's a way to go about it in a different manner.
I appreciate you talking about gratitude. As I've been sort of digging and learning for myself, to be honest, to be able to practice what I preach, kind of a thing, which is hard, right? Because you're starting to now, you can take care of others easily, perhaps, but yet the servant leadership that a lot of us in this, our agency naturally have. But what I appreciate about gratitude as I'm learning it, there's a neuroscience backing behind it. And I'm learning that it's interesting. If you ever find yourself, tips perhaps, if you find yourself stuck, you literally can stop in the moment and whatever you see around you or whatever it is to get yourself out in that moment is to start thinking of maybe even 3 things of gratitude that literally move you in a different direction. Don't get me wrong. It's not that it's going to take away what's perhaps you're dealing with, but it's about how do we start taking back control that we do have control over versus the many things around us perhaps that we don't. I appreciate you.
Love it, Lenisa. There's sometimes where if I am kind of getting a little overwhelmed or frustrated during my day, I will stop when I have a minute and just do a gratitude list.
That's right.
And it's a way to reconnect back to the things that really matter. This wasn't part of my life before the pandemic, and within a short amount of time, I had some circumstances that made me look at life a little differently, and it was a slow process. And again, going back to what my day looks like throughout the day after my work day is done, I have another huge responsibility to my family.
Yes, so good.
So I'm going there all day long.
Yes.
And I allow myself a space and time at night to do breath work or to meditate or to do something for me that fills my cup back up, because we do know as we're pulled in 50 million directions, it is draining. And you can't do this job effectively when your cup is empty.
Yes.
It's the self-care practices are important so that you come to work with your cup already filled. So it doesn't matter what's thrown at you, you're able to look at it a little differently.
I like that. I really, really like that. During these segments, we try to leave our listeners with tips, techniques, strategies that they could try on their own. And so I heard you say the gratitude list, if you will, that you do daily. Are there other things that you could suggest to our listeners that would help fill their cup, something for them to consider?
Yes. There's a whole bunch of things. As we set intentions and we try to change our behavior, that takes a little bit of practice because we have the average adult has about 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And the majority of those are the same thoughts that we had the prior day. And we try to think that our experience the following day is going to be any different. And creating these practices allows for new thoughts to occur. And those new thoughts lead to new experiences. The new experiences lead to new habits. And as the habits start to appear, that following day or the next following days, you're having different thoughts and different experiences. And as you practice it, it becomes just part of who you are. So the tips that I would have is start with an intention, whatever that would be. I mean, we can always add something or take something away during your day. I'm not sure how often or how long you're on your phone or computer or whatever, but if you can take 2 minutes out of your day, you can figure it out some way. I like to come down to breath. It's another way to get out of my head and to get back into my body. And by focusing on breath, it allows places where I can feel the breath entering and how my body is either holding the stress or not. If there is sometimes, I'm that kind of weird guy in the car that will say I have a meeting or something that's stressful. I'll do basically like a 5 sigh. A sigh is, 1.5 to 2 more volume of your inhale and exhale. So just by going in the car and doing a sigh and then exhaling, it allows me to kind of reset and lower my anxiety or my stress response. I do that 5 times, and sometimes I'm able to get a little bit deeper with my breath, and then I can automatically feel some of that stress wash away. Another tip for me, especially that's important, is when the first 30 seconds or the first 30 minutes of the day. My inner critic is extremely loud in the morning. It used to be. I mean, it's not that anymore, just due to the practices. And some of the things that I have to do is to create mantras, or even take a shower in the morning. I do my best thinking and my best singing in the shower, and it's a great way to kind of get out of my head and reset there. For those who love to read, read. For those who are struggling, and when we are stressed, there comes a time where you can't communicate it, but you can write it.
Yes.
So journaling or writing is important too. It's also important to find like-minded people who support you. We do know the people kind of who steal from you emotionally, and who are the drama seekers, and you have to figure out where you play a role in that too. I would say one of the 2 really big ones is create boundaries. No is not a bad word. Sometimes you can't say that at work because you have responsibilities, but you can provide boundaries for people as well. And sometimes we lose sight that we can only do so much at so many times. And like I said, especially with my personal life, I have little and big people pulling at me all day. So creating a boundary is important. And we talked about the gratitude list, but the last thing I'll say is unplug. Unplug. Everything works again if you unplug it for a while, including you.
Nice. Oh, it's wonderful.
Nice.
I appreciate you saying about the sighing. I have an 8-year-old and a now 5-year-old. And it's so funny because I do a lot of sighing and release in the car.
we
and
do.
they're like, oh, mama's mad. I was like, no. That's my way of, I realize we all carry it on our shoulders, our bodies somehow, whether we realize it or not. And for me, it was the way of sighing it and really having a release. And I do it a couple of times a day. So I'm like, no, it's just mama's way of how mama's breathing. But I appreciate you saying that. And we're so happy to have you here to be able to segue into really you taking the time to walk us through our next segment about how to really use the steps on how to meditate. So we appreciate you sticking around to be able to take us and walk us through even a 5-minute or less opportunities to really, for those who are interested, to be able to join you and us in this practice. So thanks so much, Greg, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.